That was the first Elmore Leonard film that really worked, and it worked really well. And that's because Scott understood just focus on the characters.
I guess so, but that's not why I never got married. I
No?
mean, it's funny, as I listen to you, as we've repaired our relationship,
yes,
one of the nice things about it is I've been able to listen to you. Also, you're in the car always now.
George Clooney once seemed untouchable, a paragon of charm and talent who crossed seamlessly from blockbuster films to humanitarian endeavors. His suave grin made him an icon, and for many years, he appeared nearly immune to the standard pitfalls of Hollywood life. Lately, however, Clooney's name is on everyone's lips for all the wrong reasons. Rumors of a spiraling career, a highly publicized misfire of a political advertisement, and a simmering standoff with Bill Maher have converged into a scandal that feels more surreal with each new development. Has one of Hollywood's brightest stars finally stumbled past the point of recovery? Or will he somehow manage to recast himself as the admired leading man once again? It began innocently enough with an ad. Clooney had long been outspoken about social and political issues, frequently using his star power to spotlight causes from global poverty to disaster relief. When he decided to appear in a political ad designed to rally voters, it seemed like just another instance of him lending his voice to a cause he believed in. This time, however, the tone felt forced, as though he were reading lines conceived in a bubble far from the realities of everyday life. What was supposed to be a heartfelt message about voting your conscience instead came off as condescending theater, complete with swelling music and images of families marching to the voting booth. Social media commentary turned harsh, labeling the ad pandering, off-base, and out of step with the average viewer. Clooney, once applauded for his on-screen authenticity, suddenly found himself at the receiving end of memes that mocked every moment of the video's carefully engineered pathos. Many in Hollywood were taken aback. After all, Clooney had never been one to attract widespread scorn. Even his occasional misfires had been forgiven and forgotten because he usually managed to maintain a certain level of dignity and self-awareness. This time was different. The backlash wasn't limited to fleeting gossip tabloids. It spread across reputable news outlets, late-night show monologues, and online platforms known for scathing critiques of celebrity culture. The ad, which might have vanished with a mild shrug, turned into a symbol of everything that can go wrong when a star tries to merge personal ideology with a glossy production. Critics argued that Clooney's once legendary approachability had soured into something smug, as though he was speaking from an ivory tower to regular folks who just didn't get it. Clooney wasn't prepared for the magnitude of this fallout. Instead of letting the outrage dissipate, he chose to respond almost immediately. He took to social media with a brief statement explaining his intent, hoping a direct address would calm the waters. Unfortunately, it added more fuel to the fire. Detractors seized on the language he used, suggesting that he was doubling down on a patronizing stance by implying that people just weren't smart enough to grasp the ad's profound meaning.
Wherever you are, you celebrate it, and
Yes.
you enjoy it, and you have fun. I think it's a very good quality because you don't waste time. You don't waste it with your family, you don't waste it with your friends.
Yes.
It's the last nice thing I'll say.
But what are you saving any good stuff, George?
I'm saving all the good stuff. I want to save it until literally I'm with a walker. I want to save all of it. When I'm like, hey.
No, you're a liver. You live.
I'm a liver.
You're a liver.
What's left of it?
Before long, the conversation had escalated from a single questionable ad to a broader indictment of Clooney's political activism. Ordinarily, a scandal might have ended there, with a one-day Twitter frenzy and a headline in the entertainment columns. Yet Hollywood had changed. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are now the front lines of public opinion, and any gaffe can multiply into a 10-alarm firestorm of criticism. Also, the industry itself has grown less patient with stars who appear detached or oblivious to the concerns of everyday people. Clooney was no longer just an actor who made a cringe-worthy commercial. He had become emblematic of a perceived Hollywood bubble, disconnected, insulated by wealth, and out of touch with the cultural moment. Sensing the need to control the narrative, Clooney's management team crafted a plan for what they believed would be a triumphant comeback. If he could just land on the right shows and in front of the right journalists, they reasoned, he could reclaim his image as a thoughtful voice of reason. The cornerstone of this plan involved a high-profile appearance on Bill Maher's show. Maher has long been recognized as a political satirist who doesn't shy away from confrontation, and his real-time platform boasts a dedicated audience interested in issues beyond superficial entertainment. The thinking was simple. If Clooney could win over Maher, then the viewing public, and perhaps Hollywood itself, would see him in a more forgiving light. But persuading Maher turned out to be more challenging than anyone expected. Clooney's team approached the show's producers with a comprehensive pitch, promising an interview packed with exclusive revelations, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, and above all, a genuine apology. They believed Maher's audience would eat it up, a Hollywood legend opening up about personal failings, offering a rare glimpse of vulnerability. Yet Maher refused outright. He had long criticized what he saw as performative activism among celebrities who parachute into politics whenever it suits their personal brand. From Maher's perspective, having Clooney on in the midst of a firestorm was little more than a publicity stunt. The star, he felt, simply wanted a quick redemption arc without actually addressing the deeper criticisms thrown his way. The initial refusal didn't deter Clooney's team. In fact, it only emboldened them. They came back a second time, promising that Clooney would offer explosive takes on the Hollywood system, how deals get made behind closed doors, how certain celebrities manipulate the press to create activism-based personas, and how even big studios sometimes pressure actors to take specific stances. They framed it as a can't-miss chance for Maher to peel back the curtain on Tinseltown's biggest secrets. Maher, however, seemed unimpressed. Insiders suggest that he viewed it as yet another attempt by Clooney to shift blame for the fiasco onto the broader Hollywood landscape, rather than owning up to a flawed judgment call. When the second refusal came through, the frustration within Clooney's camp escalated significantly. They regrouped, brainstorming new angles. Maybe Clooney could offer a live Q&A segment.
Okay, best part about working with Julia Roberts on this movie? Go.
The money. Well, I will be honest, which I don't like doing.
He doesn't, and I don't like when you are honest.
You don't like it because I'm nice sometimes, and that's terrible. She's a great friend, and she is, on top of all of the things that we all know she is, and everyone knows she is. She also is a very, very good friend, and so it's really fun to work with people that are truly good friends.
Taking tough questions from a studio audience without the safety net of pre-scripted lines. The risk might be high, but so was the potential reward if Maher's viewers saw Clooney confronting criticism head-on. Once again, Maher said no. Reports suggest that he told HBO executives directly that he had no desire to turn his show into a celebrity rehab session. The repeated rejections were both bruising and bewildering to Clooney, who had grown accustomed to open doors wherever he went. With each refusal, Clooney's agitation began seeping into industry circles. Word spread about how he'd privately expressed his annoyance with Maher, calling him obstinate and claiming that the host was missing a golden ratings opportunity. Maher, never one to back down, reportedly made a few off-the-record remarks of his own, mocking Clooney's repeated pitches as desperate. While this verbal sparring remained off-camera for a time, Maher eventually alluded to it in a monologue, deriding certain celebrities who think they can waltz onto political talk shows to revive their tarnished images. He never named Clooney directly, but the target was obvious. As the rift grew, Clooney's team tried alternative routes. They contacted Howard Stern's producers, hoping a candid, unfiltered conversation with Stern might serve as the perfect setting for a heartfelt confession. Stern's show is known for revealing aspects of a guest's personality that no other platform can. But Stern's camp also hesitated. Clooney's meltdown had started overshadowing any potential interview topics, and producers worried that a Clooney appearance might morph into a defensive diatribe, overshadowing Stern's trademark style.
No, I thought you were going to say that what delights you is that your son...
I'm from Kentucky. English is my second language.
So our son is now a big prankster, and he's basically, you taught him all of these lessons, and he's now pranking his dad back.
Alexander's favorite superhero is Batman. And he goes, I said, what's your favorite superhero? He goes, Batman. And I go, I was Batman. And he goes, yeah, but not anymore.
Meanwhile, Clooney's frustration was starting to reach the breaking point. Privately, he lamented that the Hollywood machine he had served faithfully for decades was abandoning him in his time of need. Studios seemed reluctant to attach him to upcoming projects, worried that negative public sentiment could doom the box office. Other talk shows remained politely booked, offering vague excuses that clearly hinted they didn't want to get entangled in the scandal. In a matter of weeks, Clooney had gone from someone whose mere name could greenlight a major film to a figure that networks sidestepped for fear of controversy. The irony wasn't lost on anyone watching from the sidelines. Clooney had built a reputation as a humanitarian, donating to causes and championing political figures he believed would help create a more equitable world. He organized star-studded galas for disaster relief, invested time and money in conflict zones, and even used award show speeches to highlight global crises. Now, the same moral fervor that once elevated him had morphed into a public spectacle, a scorned star trying to salvage his image in an industry turning more cynical by the day. Bill Maher, for his part, seemed resolute in his stance. Some insiders speculated that Maher saw this as an opportunity to underscore his show's no-nonsense credibility. By refusing to grant Clooney an interview, he was signaling to fans that real time would not compromise its authenticity. Public sentiment was mixed. Some applauded Maher for refusing to be co-opted by celebrity drama. Others felt he should have let Clooney speak, if only to witness a big-name actor take responsibility and possibly regain a measure of dignity. Outside the television studios, social media was ablaze. The fiasco took on new dimensions as fans and critics clashed online. Some posted side-by-side comparisons of Clooney's past philanthropic endeavors and his misjudged ad.
Because, it all falls, in a day. Because what happens is, they're like, so this whole tooth fairy thing. And you go, yeah, I kind of slid a little. And they're like, ah. And then, as the day goes on, it's like, so the Easter Bunny? And you're like, and then you just look for anything. It's like, you're not talking about Santa Claus. No, my
That's
God.
a totally different thing.
Comes down the chimney.
Yeah, I'll give you the Tooth Fairy. I will begrudgingly give you the Easter Bunny, but no, not Santa Claus. Yeah.
No.
Trying to reconcile the two drastically different images. Others dissected Maher's refusal, calling him hypocritical, noting that he had hosted celebrities in the past who were also embroiled in controversy. There were also heated arguments about the role of entertainers in shaping political discourse. Should people with immense fame and fortune attempt to influence elections? Or is that a perilous overreach that alienates average voters? In the midst of this uproar, Clooney's personal turmoil deepened. Gone were the suave public appearances where he'd effortlessly deflect awkward questions with charm. Instead, insiders described him as irritable, snapping at longtime associates and complaining that the media was out to get him. Some friends reportedly advised him to lie low, let the storm blow over, and then re-emerge with a fresh project that could renew the public's affection for him. But the window for that classic damage control strategy might have been closing fast. Given the speed at which stories now escalate, Clooney seemed to realize that silence could be misread as an admission of guilt, or worse, a sign that he'd retreated into a gilded fortress to nurse his wounds. The repercussions extended beyond talk shows and potential film deals. Sponsors grew cagey, worried that Clooney's association might be more of a liability than an asset at the moment. Charities he had worked with for years found themselves in an awkward spot, not wanting their mission overshadowed by the swirling controversy. Even Clooney's reliably warm relationship with the press turned frosty, as reporters clamored for juicy tidbits about his rift with Maher rather than focusing on any of Clooney's philanthropic achievements. Maher, meanwhile, was unwavering. During one episode of his show, he went on an extended tirade about Hollywood hypocrisy, calling out unnamed stars who wear activism as a fashion statement, only to get flustered when they're called to account for it. Observers noted that Maher's criticisms seemed tailor-made to poke at Clooney's predicament. Those privy to behind-the-scenes talk said Maher relished the drama, seeing it as a testament to real-time's influence. If a figure as large as Clooney was desperate to appear on his show, it validated Maher's role as a gatekeeper of serious political discourse. And for better or worse, audiences tuned in, curious to see if the host would say anything else about the star whose meltdown was becoming Hollywood's worst-kept secret. In a last-ditch maneuver, Clooney's representatives tried to pivot away from these big-name hosts. They reached out to up-and-coming podcast personalities, hoping that at least one would be eager for the publicity of interviewing a Hollywood heavyweight. No matter the controversy, a few fringe shows did take the bait, but none of these appearances caused more than a ripple in the broader entertainment media. Clooney gave short, carefully worded interviews that mostly rehashed the same lines about the political ad's misunderstood message and his willingness to learn from the experience. Absent the massive viewership of mainstream outlets, these cameo-like appearances did little to move the needle of public perception. Some observers have begun to question whether Clooney's meltdown signifies a turning point in celebrity politics.
Yeah, I have, but I'm comforted in the fact that he's coming after you first.
That makes you feel better?
Yeah. You know that theory about you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the one kid? You're that one kid, pal.
I'm the kid.
Yeah.
I'm the slow boy. Trump is a big fan of yours. I don't know if you've seen this, but he posted in July. So now fake movie actor George Clooney.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that movies are fake, does he?
I don't think so.
In the past, large segments of the public admired stars who used their platform for social commentary. But amid rising polarization, a fracturing media landscape, and the cynicism bred by endless Twitter scandals, the notion of the well-meaning celebrity has started to wear thin. Audiences are quicker to question motivations, pointing out how activism can be more about personal brand building than genuine concern for the cause. For many, the Clooney-Maher spectacle exemplifies this shift. On one side is Clooney, who for years seemed untouchably gracious and earnest. Now faced with accusations of being an aloof figure leveraging good deeds for PR points. On the other is Maher, carving out a space as a champion of unvarnished debate, refusing to let a famous face use his show for easy absolution. Whether one agrees with Maher's tactics or finds them sanctimonious, the simple truth is that his refusal has drastically magnified Clooney's problems. As Clooney weighs his next steps, some speculate that a behind-the-scenes apology to Maher, one that never becomes public, might restore some goodwill. Others believe that Clooney should go on the offensive, revealing the private reasons he turned to activism and maybe even exposing instances where he was pressured to showboat. Still others think the best approach is to step away from the spotlight completely. Should he focus on smaller, passion-driven film projects or even philanthropic missions abroad that don't rely on camera crews and headlines? Each route carries its own risks. If Clooney goes quiet, the narrative might solidify against him. If he goes on the offensive, he risks confirming suspicions that this entire fiasco has become more about ego than principle. Industry insiders note that Hollywood loves a comeback story almost as much as it loves a fall from grace. Clooney's star power, while bruised, is not necessarily destroyed. Audiences can be fickle, quick to condemn and equally quick to forgive if they sense genuine humility. But time is not on Clooney's side. The longer the controversy drags on, the more it defines him. Every attempt to spin the story can feel like damage control, especially if it lacks authenticity. And authenticity, or the lack thereof, was the central charge against him in the first place.
That was the first Elmore Leonard film that really worked, and it worked really well. And that's because Scott understood just focus on the characters. The heist isn't that interesting. And this one was a diamond heist, and it's not that interesting a heist. You know, the diamonds are in the fish tank, big deal, you know. But what was spectacular were all of the characters in it. You know, Ving Rhames' character originally was called Red, and he was a big red-headed white guy.
So the question lingers, does George Clooney, once Hollywood's most beloved leading man, still have a chance to redefine himself? Or has the industry moved on, leaving him stuck with the unfortunate image of a star who soared too high on his own hype and crashed at the worst possible moment? Perhaps the real tragedy is that in trying to be conscientious, Clooney stumbled into one of the biggest pitfalls of modern celebrity, underestimating just how quickly the public can turn and how harshly it can judge when a cherished icon appears to break the unspoken contract of authenticity. For now, we're left with a multi-layered drama that continues to unfold in real time. Clooney's attempts to salvage his reputation grow more urgent, while Maher's stance remains unwavering. Studio executives quietly assess whether their future projects can be tied to a man whose name now comes with so much baggage. Talk show producers weigh the excitement of a Clooney appearance against the risks of turning their platform into a spectacle. Fans, meanwhile, watch from the cheap seats, tweeting their opinions and speculating about every rumor that leaks from the Hollywood inner circle. The final verdict is yet to be written. If there's one constant in show business, it's the capacity for reinvention. Clooney could still find a pathway back to the top, perhaps by genuinely owning his missteps and demonstrating that he can adapt to the new rules of celebrity accountability. Or he might fade from the forefront, becoming a cautionary tale of how even the most charismatic stars can lose their luster in the blink of an eye. The only sure thing is that the Clooney-Maher saga isn't over yet, and each new development only adds another twist to a story that has become a referendum on fame, activism, and the fragile nature of public adoration. What do you think? Can George Clooney, the once reigning king of Hollywood cool, pull off a comeback of epic proportions? Or is this the defining controversy that will trail him for the rest of his career? Let me know your take on whether he can recover, or if this tumble from grace is just too steep. And don't forget to subscribe for all the unfolding chapters in this ongoing drama. After all, in Hollywood, the biggest surprise is that the story is never truly over until the final credits roll.